On a cool late afternoon day, when the sunlight stretched long and golden across the city playground, the world seemed briefly gentler than usual. The metal swings creaked softly in the breeze, and the smell of warm asphalt drifted through the air. Children's distant laughter mixed with the rustling of dry leaves tumbling across the open field. But near the edge of the basketball court, where shadows pulled beneath the old oak trees, a small figure stood apart from the noise. A young girl, no older than 9, held a faded backpack tight against her chest. Its fabric was worn, its zipper slightly crooked, yet she clutched it with the fragile desperation of someone holding the last piece of their heart. The girl's name was Mara, though few ever bothered to ask. Her hair, a tangled curtain the color of chestnut bark, fell across her cheeks in uneven strands. Dust clung to the knees of her jeans, and the sleeves of her oversized sweater swallowed her small hands. Anyone watching closely would have seen the slight tremor in her fingers, the way she kept glancing over her shoulder, as if the world had taught her to expect loss. She had been coming to this playground for weeks, drawn less by the games and more by the quiet corner beneath the oak, where she could sit unnoticed. Her backpack never left her side. Even when she played alone in the sand or traced shapes in the dirt, the bag rested against her leg like a loyal companion. But the whispers always followed her. Does she even have a home? Look at her clothes. She's so weird. Parents exchanged glances. Children snickered behind cupped hands. And though Mara kept her eyes down, she heard everything. Each murmur pressed a little deeper into the soft places of her heart. The trouble began just as the sun dipped lower, washing the playground in amber light. 3 older kids drifted toward Mara, the kind who moved in a tight pack, feeding off one another's smirks. Their shadows stretched long across the pavement, reaching her before they did. Mara stiffened, her hands tightened around the backpacks. Straps. The tallest boy circled behind her, kicking dust toward her shoes. Another leaned in closer, his grin sharp and mocking. The third simply watched, arms crossed, eyes cold with the confidence of someone who enjoyed being feared. One of them tugged at her sleeve. Hey, what's in the bag? Mara stepped back, shaking her head, voice barely a whisper. Please, don't. But they laughed, loud, careless laughter that made passers-by glance over before quickly looking away. The tallest boy snatched the backpack from her hands with a quick jerk. She stumbled forward, catching herself on the rough pavement. Pain flashed across her palms. Mara's breath broke. Please, give it back. Her voice cracked, raw with fear. They opened the bag, held it high, tossed it between them like a game. The zipper rattled with every careless throw. Mara reached out with trembling fingers, tears blurring her vision. The bullies never noticed the small wooden box inside. They never noticed the way Mara's face collapsed when it tumbled dangerously close to falling out, and they had no idea that someone, watching from a distance, had seen everything. The rumble was subtle at first, just a low vibration threading through the quiet evening air, not from an engine, but from steady, deliberate footsteps crossing the pavement. They belonged to a man in a tailored charcoal coat, standing at the far edge of the playground beside a black sedan that gleamed like polished obsidian. He had been on a phone call moments earlier, reviewing numbers and contracts, but the sound of a child's desperate plea had cut through the conversation like a blade. Now his attention was fixed entirely on Mara and the boys tormenting her. His name was Adrian Hale, a millionaire known in business circles for his sharp decisions. Though strangers rarely noticed the gentleness behind his tired eyes, he had once been a child in hand-me-down clothes himself. Long before fortune carved his path, Adrian's pace quickened. He watched the wooden box slip halfway out of the backpack. He watched Mara's shaking hands reach toward the bullies, even though her voice had already dissolved into small, broken sounds, and he watched the boys laugh as if her pain were entertainment. That was enough. Adrian stepped into the fading sunlight, his shadow stretching across the pavement toward them like a quiet warning. The boys froze when Adrian's shadow reached their feet. Something in his presence, calm but unshakably firm, cut through their bravado. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His eyes, steady and focused, held a weight that made the tallest boy lower the backpack a fraction. Adrian knelt beside Mara first, offering her the gentleness the bullies had denied. Are you hurt? He asked quietly. She shook her head, tears slipping down her cheeks. Only then did he stand and face the boys. Hand it to her, he said. Not a threat, not a request, a command wrapped in quiet authority. thought the boys hesitated, then surrendered the bag. Shame colored their faces as they backed away, the laughter gone, replaced by the sting of being seen for what they were. Mara clutched the backpack to her chest, her breath unsteady. Adrian noticed the wooden box peeking out and carefully helped her tuck it safely inside. Witnesses nearby, one silent, now watched with softened eyes, as if reminded of something they'd forgotten. Decency. Sometimes the smallest moments reveal the deepest truths. In a world that often rushes past quiet suffering, compassion can feel like a rare language, one spoken only by those who remember what it means to hurt. Mara's backpack had been more than fabric and zippers. It carried the last memory of someone she loved, and all it took was a glance from a stranger with a steady heart to restore what cruelty tried to steal. Acts of kindness don't need to be grand. They just need to arrive when someone feels invisible. Humanity is strongest when it chooses to see. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and share it with someone who believes in second chances. Tell us below, what would you have done in that moment? And remember to subscribe for more real-life stories that restore faith in humanity and remind us that compassion still wins.